This week, New South Wales Road Safety put up a post on road safety, as they usually do, and it sparked a whole lot of heated comments from people that seem to dislike cycling intently, probably because they like sitting in traffic jams. And no, we're not sitting in a traffic jam in Sydney here, we're looking at a traffic jam in Perth. And on the left-hand side there, on the other side of that cycle path, is the railway line that goes between Fremantle and the Perth CBD. And you can see down there in the middle distance there's an underpass that all these cars are queuing up to try and get under. And it's interesting that both the Victorian government and the WA government have got these programs underway to get rid of level crossings on the railway lines and put in overbridges or underbridges in order to reduce congestion. Well, it's going to be interesting to see whether those billions they're spending actually have some kind of result, because every time I've ridden past here in the mornings, this is what it's looked like. This is a pretty common event, and it's unusual because I've always found Perth traffic in the main to be so much better than Sydney traffic. It generally tends to flow outside of the peak hours. Getting around Perth in a car outside of the peak hours is an absolute doddle. It's really good, very relaxing, unlike driving around Sydney. But, just have a look at all the cyclists going past here, heading into Subiaco or into town, or I guess they're going back down towards Fremantle or Claremont, something like that. And another view looking the other way from a bit further up the road, yeah, traffic's not moving very quickly at all, and just look at all the road space they're taking up. Now, I do wonder if the hostility we get in New South Wales from some drivers is because of this sharing of limited road space. I mean, if over here in Perth, that hostility, there might be some of it, but I haven't experienced any of it yet. I'm sure it exists, but I don't think a lot of drivers over here get so bent out of shape, because in a lot of places the cyclists have got their own separated lane. They go their way and the drivers go their way, and you don't see cyclists having to filter through traffic so much in order to get past cars that are stalled in congestion, etc. But we're just going to have a look at this path from the beginning. There's a missing link between, Cottesloe and Fremantle. It goes for a kilometre or so. I jumped on at the bottom of the path, and what we'll see here at 8:05 in the morning is a broad cross-section of people using this path. There's men and women, there's boys and girls, there's school students, there's mums, there's people out in groups doing recreational fitness cycling, there's people on e-bikes, kind of upright bikes, hybrids, mountain bikes. You'll even see a cargo bike, and you'll also see kids riding on their own without their parents as they're riding to school, and they don't look that old, maybe kind of year 7, and that's fairly normal over here because you've got a nice, safe, separated bike path. Why wouldn't you let your kids ride to school on it? Here we go. Here's 2 schoolgirls on their way to school. They've got lots of bags of stuff on their handlebars. That's probably sports bags and things like that. No parents anywhere, off they go to school together. So, yeah, the kind of attitudes that we see coming out of those New South Wales government safety pages whenever they put up something on cycling, it's really quite bizarre, because what is it that makes some drivers just so furious in Sydney, but doesn't seem to have the same impact over here? Yeah, and there's another school kid. Now, what we're going to see a little bit further up is, if you look over on the left there behind those trees, there's a lane of traffic in each direction, and those cars might look like they're parked, but they're not. That's actually congestion in both directions, and the cars are kind of moving in a stop-start fashion, not terribly quickly. You might notice that at times I'm going faster than they are. Oh, there's our cargo bike. And understandably, when drivers are stuck in that kind of congestion every single day, perhaps twice a day, they can get pretty irate, and if they see a cyclist just go zipping past without a care in the world, well, they're going to get pretty angry, especially if they've spent well, how much on a car? 50,000, 100,000, whatever. They might have bought the sports pack, they bought the fancy wheels, they got the turbo option, and instead of having this wonderful zoom car which gets them places rapidly, they're sitting here in traffic going absolutely nowhere at all. And imagine how annoying it must be if someone rides past you on a $500 push bike, particularly if you're going from one set of lights to the other, and you're at the front and you plant it when you get a green light, and you scream off to the next red light, and this cyclist just ambles past you again, stops, you take off at the light, leave them behind in a cloud of dust and smog, and at the next set of lights they just come ambling up beside you and get in front again, and you do it again, and they just come ambling up along at the next set of lights. Must drive people just, it would absolutely do your head in. You think the envy, it just must be envy that, I've invested all this money in this car, and I should be allowed to get in front. It's unfair. Why should they be allowed to get in front of me, when I'm stuck in traffic? I guess that's the problem. If you've got any other ideas of what creates this psychology, feel free to put it in the comments. But it's certainly endemic, and we see it every time, the New South Wales Safety Mob put up a post. But as you can see, this path goes for quite some distance. And look, here's another mum riding along, and up in front was her son. And I know they were together because he was saying, come on, mum, get a move on. He was leaving her behind, and she was struggling to keep up. But, look at the type of bicycle. Upright, it's got a basket on the front, had panniers on the back, not the kid, the mum. Clearly a useful bike for shopping, taking the kids to school, just ambling around the neighbourhood. It's not like all these other people in their Lycra, might be doing a 40 or 50k ride. They're probably going 1, 2, 3 kilometres, and that's it. Well, anyway, let's just have a final view at the congestion and the cyclists zipping past, and consider what is it that gets some drivers just so bent out of shape when a cyclist goes past them.